All right. All right. Welcome everyone to another video. Thanks for clicking on this one. This week's video is going to be about women and Alzheimer's disease. More specifically, why women face a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. I just got a little title here. All right. So this is the name of the paper. It's written by Mary O'Neill, and the journal is Frontiers. This was published in 2024. The title of the paper is Women and the Risk of Alzheimer's Disease. All right, so did you know that nearly 2/3 of Americans living with Alzheimer's disease are women? And that their lifetime risk is about 1 in 5 above age 65. So for decades we thought this was just because women live longer, but a growing body of research, including this review, shows it's far more complex. Biology, genetics, hormones, pregnancy history, mental health, and even education play major roles. So today we're going to be breaking down the science from the paper, so you can perhaps take this as a way to learn about the women that you love, and you can also understand the risks and what might help. Stick around because knowledge is power. So, big picture. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia, right? Affecting millions. Women bear a larger burden, while women live longer on average, which contributes to a high prevalence. Incidence studies are mixed. Some show no clear sex difference overall, but a meta-analysis found women have about 1.56 times an increased chance of developing Alzheimer's disease. So after age 85, the gap can widen. This study, called Framingham study, suggests that survivor bias, which is basically when men who reach advanced ages may have a lower cardiovascular risks, which also protects against dementia. So, for example, the reason why some men make it past a certain age, that uh, is usually an age that most men don't make it. Those men who make it to that age tend to be a little bit more healthier, so the chances of getting Alzheimer's is kind of decreased because Alzheimer's is dependent on what kind of lifestyle you lived. And then for most men, they don't really live a good lifestyle. There's a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking, bad food eating, and and a lot of risk taking, which tends to lead them to a bad path where they die younger. But in those men who do make it past 65, and the reason why they don't have a higher prevalence of Alzheimer's disease is because they tend to be healthier. But you have more women who are making it past 65, and you see more chances of them having Alzheimer's disease. Is because most of them live past the age 65. They don't take as much risk as the men who basically died before them. So even if you had like guys who are making it past 65, perhaps the prevalence would be higher. It's just that past that age, there's more population of women, and that's the more chances of them having the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. So ApoE4 hits women harder. Prevalence versus incidence. What is ApoE4? So if you've seen my other videos, you would know what it is, but just to a short summary, ApoE4 is a dominant gene that has been linked to sporadic Alzheimer's disease, which what that means is basically Alzheimer's disease that doesn't seem to have a cause but has a genetic link. And usually people who carry this gene, or they carry two copies of this gene, they're more likely to have Alzheimer's disease. If you have if you have like one copy of this gene and another copy that's not E4, like say you have E4 and E3, you have a reduced chance of having it, and even more reduced if you have no E4 and you have E3 and E3. One of the strongest genetic risk factors is this gene. It affects both sexes, but often more severely in women. Women with copy of ApoE4 are at high risk of mild cognitive impairment, progressing to Alzheimer's, especially between the ages of 65 and 75, up to fourfold in some analyses. They also show higher levels of tau, which is a marker of brain cell damage. We know tau is that protein that gets aggregated within neurons. If you look at my other videos, I explained heavily on it. This basically suggests that ApoE4 interacts in a sex-specific factors. What does that mean? So it's based on this study. It seems that women who have these two alleles, or these two genes of ApoE4, as opposed to the men who have these two genes. They tend to not. The men don't display the phenotype of Alzheimer's disease as well as women do. So it seems that those women who have the ApoE4 gene tend to be at an increased risk of getting Alzheimer's disease as opposed to the men. So it's kind of it seems to work in a sex specific ways. What they're trying to talk about, trying to explain here. So it's very important to get genetic counseling. So as I just said earlier, you have a higher risk of MCI, 4 times the risk if you're 65 and older, and you have higher tau levels as well. Telomere shortening and aging. So what are telomeres? So telomeres protect our chromosomes like the plastic tips on shoelaces. They shorten with age, linked to poor cell repair and neurodegeneration, especially in women with Alzheimer's, based on this paper, right? So women generally start with longer telomeres thanks to estrogen protective effects on telomerase and oxidative stress. Telomerase is the enzyme that regenerates telomeres. So say the aglets or the ends at the ends of your shoelaces, imagine they start revealing or unraveling themselves. Think of telomerase as a repairman who comes and links the two pieces of the ends of the shoelace. They're called aglets. They basically link those two aglets so that the aglets stay in place so that your shoelaces don't unravel, right? So that's what telomerase does. Telomerase comes and it repairs telomeres and ensures that they kind of stay intact and keep the cell younger. More postmenopausal ApoE4 carriers show faster shortening. One study hinted that hormone therapy might help preserve telomeres in vulnerable women. So I have a little illustration here of what telomeres are. So this is a chromosome, and telomeres tend to be at the ends of these chromosomes right here. Telomeres will basically come. So every time a cell divides, telomeres shorten. And then that's when telomeres would come and then regenerate the telomeres and add new ones, new ends here. If the telomerase stops working, the chromosomes will unravel, and then that would lead to oxidative stress and further pathogenesis. Because if the chromosomes are not working properly, then the cell's not working properly. If the cell's not working properly, then the tissue might not work properly, organ might not work properly, and that could lead to downstream effects, as you can imagine. All right. Okay, so hormonal factors in HRT. So hormones are a big piece. Early research from Koch County suggested a window of opportunity. HRT, or hormone replacement therapy near menopause, might lower risk and slow decline. But the large Women's Health Initiative Memory Study, which is called WHIMS, found that starting combined estrogen plus progesterone after age 65 increased dementia risk. But later studies are mixed. For example, as you can see from this one that I linked on from the paper, there's another study that was done, a large randomized control trial in 2003, that looked at the same Women's Health Initiative Memory Study and found that 65 women ages 65 to 79, who had not had a hysterectomy, when they were treated with estrogen and progesterone compared to controls, had a doubled risk of dementia. The increased risk of dementia in women treated with hormonal therapy would result in 23 new cases of dementia per 10,000 women. So it's not a perfect end all be all. It's not a perfect treatment for this, but it seems to help some women. As I combed through the research as a little bit, I found that if you do about 5 years after menopause to 10 years after menopause, uh, somehow show benefit if started within 5 years. The bottom line, timing type and individual factors matter hugely. Always discuss with your doctor. So it's important to kind of look at what your genetic risk factor may be and where you might be within the timelines of MCI or mild cognitive impairment, and how far you are within your menopause. So basically, if you are within 5 years, you have a better chance of using hormone therapy to kind of offset the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. But it's not a perfect cure. It seems that it's the potential window will be about early post menopause. But if you do it a little bit later, it might be riskier. There's also a pregnancy link. Women with 5 or more pregnancies had a higher AD risk in one study. Hypertensive disorders like preeclampsia. Preeclampsia is basically a disorder that happens about 20 weeks in the gestational period, whereby you find a lot of protein in the urine, and it is denoted by organ damage while a woman is pregnant, basically, and this could lead to stroke in later life as well as cognitive risks. Yeah, so pregnancy complications and mental health. We have preeclampsia, which increases later stroke and cognitive damage, is lower cognitive risk or higher cognitive risk. Women who have depression, they have a 2 times increased chance of getting Alzheimer's disease. Insomnia also, but it's not. It's kind of debated a little bit, but it's kind of linked to cognitive decline, but not really Alzheimer's disease, but it's linked. It's kind of important to kind of take that with a grain of salt, but also don't 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 do not take it seriously. Meaning you have to have like proper sleep, proper diet, and a proper lifestyle in order to kind of reduce your chances of getting this type of disease. So women have twice the rate of depression, AD risk. Insomnia is more common in women and linked to faster cognitive decline. There you go. So it's linked to faster cognitive decline. Good sleep is crucial for memory consolidation. Pregnancy complication like preeclampsia can also lead to problems in the future as well. Cognitive reserve in education. Lower education and occupational attainment reduce cognitive reserve, meaning if you don't have schooling that's after high school or postgraduate schooling, your cognitive reserve is kind of reduced, and that can lead to an increase of risk of Alzheimer's disease. The brain's resilience to damage. Historically, women had fewer opportunities contributing to risk. The gap is closing, so more women are more pursuing higher education and careers, which could lead to perhaps less chances of there being Alzheimer's disease in the future. But the takeaways from this paper are that Alzheimer's is more prevalent in women. There's a stronger APOE4 effect, so if you have the APOE4 gene, it's very important to get genetic gene therapy to see if you have it or not. Lifestyle, sleep, mood, heart health matter as well, and it's important to continue education as much as possible. So women face higher Alzheimer's risk due to a mix of genetics, biology, hormones, mental health, pregnancy history, and cognitive reserve. So it's important to kind of take this into account and see if there's a way that you can reduce the chances of getting it. So protect your brain, exercise, sleep, socialize, heart healthy diet, stay curious, and hopefully your chances are reduced or even removed. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and let me know if there's anything I could do to change the way I'm doing my videos. Alright, take care.